Good evening and welcome to Speedway Town Council meeting for July 8, 2019, 7 p.m. I call this order to meeting to order. All right, in attendance this evening. To my far right, I have our Clerk Treasurer Monty Combs.
Good evening.
Our Councilor Jeff Matthews.
Good evening.
To my left, I have Councilor Gary Rakes.
Good evening.
Councilor David Lindsay.
Good evening.
We have our town manager, Jacob Bladesdale.
Good evening.
And our town attorney, Bob Clutter.
Good evening.
Howdy do, sir.
The agenda has been posted at this time. If everyone would rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval for minutes from our June 10th, 2019 meeting. Any corrections on those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes have been approved. Next, we have Ordinance 1317. This is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the town of Speedway, Indiana, taxable economic development revenue bonds for 2500 project, and presenting that this evening is the attorney, Rick Hall.
Good evening. As you know, you earlier approved the lease to provide for the financing of this project, and now we're back before you for the actual approval of the issuance of the bonds. Earlier this evening, the Economic Development Commission had a public hearing and took any public comment with respect to the project and the financing, and there were no public comments, and the Economic Development Commission passed a resolution recommending that the town go forward with the financing. Again, this is with respect to that development of the area at 25th and High School Road, and this town would fund improvements to that intersection that would support that development. The bonds would be for a period not to exceed 25 years. They would be in a principal amount not to exceed $3.5 million, interest rate not to exceed 6%, and they would be payable from the TIF revenues that will be generated by development in that area. There will also be a property tax backup, which will allow the town to issue the bonds at a lower interest rate and provide a cheaper cost of financing to the public. But the estimates of the taxes to be paid by that development should cover all debt service. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I just thank you for your work. And that we've had different conversations between our town manager and your office, and we appreciate the work you've done.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Madam President, I move that we approve Ordinance 1317.
Second?
So I have a first and a second for 1370. At this time, we'll take public comments. Seeing no public comments, do we have any questions from councilors? Hearing no public or no questions, we'll take a vote on Ordinance 1370. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ordinance 1370 approved 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the appointments to some boards and commissions. This evening we have a couple of boards and commissions that will need to appoint some individuals. First one will be RDA, Redevelopment Authority, and we have two individuals, or two openings, I should say, for that.
President Fisher, I move that we appoint, or I nominate Curtis Miller for the RDA.
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Christopher Wheeler.
I'd like to close nominations.
Second.
Okay, so we've nominated two individuals and approved to close nominations. This time we'll take any public comments. Seeing none, questions from counselors? We'll go ahead and take a vote then for approving two individuals to Redevelopment Authority, Chris Wheeler and Curtis Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved 4-0. So Chris Wheeler and Curtis Miller are appointed this evening to RDA. Next is the Redevelopment Commission, and we have one on that.
I would like to nominate Jennifer Miller.
Move that we close the nominations for the redevelopment commission.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second on closing nominations for redevelopment. We'll take any public comments. Seeing none, any questions from counselors? A vote then, approving for redevelopment commission, Jennifer Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Jennifer Miller approved for the redevelopment commission 4-0. Next is the approval of agreements for the Owners Represented Services Group. And Jacob, are you doing this one?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So last meeting, we approved the construction manager for the project, and as I mentioned then, we're getting to the phases of turning this project into a reality from paper on documents and sketches to actually making it happen and actually renovating and building the thing that everyone's looking forward to having. At this point, we are asking to go ahead and appoint an owner's representative for the project. So where the construction manager is very much on site, making sure that progress is happening, that budgets are where they need to be, that things are connected the way that they're supposed to be. An owner's rep does a lot of work to help make sure that contracts are being followed, that everyone's doing what they said they're going to do and are supposed to be doing. And we've done work with Veritas Group and have had good experience working with them. I did talk to another firm just to kind of make sure that we were getting appropriate pricing and that kind of thing. But after review and discussion, would like to move forward with bringing Veritas Group on board with the renovation project.
Madam President, I move that we approve the agreement with Veritas Group as presented by our town manager.
Second.
Okay, we have first and a second for the approval of this agreement. We'll open for public comments. Seeing none, any questions from counselors? Hearing no questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the agreement for Veritas Group, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, approved 4-0. Next is the approval for Resolution 2019-10. This is a resolution adopting the wastewater treatment plant. Is Norm doing that since he's here?
Do you want to, Norm, or do you want to just be there for questions? It's like he wants the latter.
So a thumbs up for those at home.
So we had to do a study to make sure that the emissions of the wastewater treatment plant were appropriate, and then have that approved by the EPA to see if they wanted any changes. They did the study. The EPA confirmed that our limits and everything should stay the same. And so while it seems a little bit like a formality, I guess it kind of is, they do want there to be a resolution by the town council to acknowledge. So if there were any changes in particular, they would want to make sure that the council is aware of what's happened. In this case, there are no changes, so we would just ask for your adoption of Resolution 2019-10.
Madam President, I make a motion we approve Resolution 2019-10.
Second.
First, second for the approval of Resolution 2019-10. At this time, we'll take public comments. Seeing none, any questions from counselors?
Wish I had one for Norm.
Hearing no questions, we'll take a vote for approval of Resolution 2019-10. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved 4-0. Approval of notice and awards for the enviro-care company. Who's You doing this one too?
I sure will, yes. Thank you, Madam President. So we've been working on a project for what they call the fine screen. That is kind of a screening process as raw sewage enters the treatment plant. We've been talking about this project for a while because we've tried to get grant money for it, and we're not able to get grant funds for it. But it is a priority project, and so we need to move forward and get this done. So we have received bids to replace the fine screen component of the plant. We received 2 bids. I will fully disclose that we're recommending the higher of the 2 bids. One of the bids was deemed to be non-responsive. There are several items missing from it that we needed to have to complete the project. And so we are approving the lowest responsive bid that we received for this project and would ask for your approval to move forward with it. And then I kind of promise you we won't hear about this project again finally.
A motion that we approve Resolution 2019-10 as presented.
We've already passed
I'm sorry.
Next one down.
Beg your pardon, the approval of notice of award for enviro-care company. Misread.
Second.
Okay, so I have approval, first and a second, for the approval of the notice of the award with enviro-care company. Take public comments. Seeing no public comments, any questions from counselors? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the notice of the award for enviro-care company, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, approved 4-0. Next is the approval of claims and the utility adjustments. Monty.
Thank you. Submitted to you are the claims for the period of June the 8th to July the 5th. It's 20-some pages, I believe. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help answer those, and if you could claim this, approve our claims, I'd appreciate it muchly.
Madam President, I'll make a motion that we approve the claims as presented by our clerk treasurer this evening.
Second.
We have a first and a second for the approval of the claims. Any questions or comments from public? Questions or comments from counselors? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the claims as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, claims approved 4-0. Adjustments?
Thank you. The utility adjustments, we also have those before you, the same period of June the 8th through July the 5th. It's just about a page and a half. Any questions on that? Otherwise, approval would be helpful. Thank you.
Move that we approve the utility adjustments as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second on utility adjustments. Any public comments?
Michelle Leidy, 4853 McCray Street. I just have a quick question, something that came up over the weekend. Noticed that the online bill pay, the convenience fee went from $1.50 to $4.95. Didn't know if that was an error with the vendor or if that was going to be a new fee going forward, if that was indeed correct.
That actually wasn't the case. The $1.50 is for the debit card. The credit card was $2.95, then went to $4.95.
Okay, thank you.
The company we work with raised that because of the volume of help on each payment. It was $162, I think, so
Okay,
that's
thank
why
you.
it was up. We don't like it, but we had to raise it.
And Monty, just maybe to further question or just ask about the situation, it does remain free if you have them withdraw it from your checking account, is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that
It
again?
remains free of charge, there's no service fee if you have it drawn directly from your checking
Yes,
account?
yes, we
So
do.
it is related to credit cards or debit cards?
This is only
They
about
process
credit
it that
cards
way?
per se, is
Okay.
the increase. The debit card stayed the same. They wanted to raise that and not as much on the credit card, but we do way more debit cards used than we do credit cards. So we didn't want to hurt the people on the debit card going up as far. They wanted to go up to $250 on that, and we said no to that.
Okay.
And the ACH is correct. $615, I think we paid today through the ACH program, and that's 17%, and the amount was $115,000, which is 17% of our monthly collection, and that's free. All people just
That
call
remains
us.
free.
They can just call us, give us your bank your routing number, and we'll pull the money out. And you still get a bill, and it'll show on there that we're just going to pull the money from their bank account.
Okay,
It's
so
very-
those
Very
that,
effective, very effective.
okay, so those that notice the fee that Michelle mentioned, they could call your office and you can walk them through the process of converting if, okay, great.
And obviously, a check, dropping it in the box outside, bringing it in, so those are off free, so to speak, still as well.
Not as
Just the
convenient, though. Not as convenient.
credit card's the biggest problem, yeah.
Okay,
And the volume is really what affected it the most.
okay.
Any other comments? Comments from counselors? Hearing none, we'll take a vote on the utility adjustments. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, approved 4-0. Anything else for us, Monty?
Just quickly, we had our June settlement from the Marion County Treasurer's Office. They sent us a nice $6 million for the first half of the year. We also, in that, had $61,000 plus that we got for sewer liens that we had to file earlier in the year. So with that, and other years we've done over the past 5+ years, we've been way over $1 million we brought in on the lien program that really wasn't very effective prior to 2014. So that's helpful when we get those paid, and that's very effective for Norm's area, if you will.
Here, here.
Monty,
It's the only question I had for you.
the monies received from, were they according to what you expected?
Yes, it was a little more than last year, but it was very effective. But that's about where we wanted to be, where we should be.
Okay.
And that includes the TIF money that's included in there, as well as our property tax.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Monty. Next, we'll have reports from department supervisors. We'll start with Economic Developer Tim Gropp.
Good evening, Council. Just a couple updates for you this evening. We were contacted by the developer of the Wilshaw Hotel, and were informed that they were going to have a temporary work stoppage here. They're ahead of schedule. They're hoping to start back up at the end of the month, but we were informed by them that they would be stopping for a while, so we're keeping an eye on that, and we'll let you know if anything changes down the road. 1300 block, we met this morning with the crew that's doing the second phase of the environmental cleanup, Hoosier Equipment. They're planning on mobilizing the week of the 29th, and it'll take them about a month, maybe a little bit over a month as well. They're going to be excavating a pretty wide part of that property and taking about 8 feet of dirt out of that whole area. So they have to test it with every roll-off they're doing, so it takes a little while, but they're planning on getting started a little later than anticipated, just due to some timing and equipment availability. But by the end of July, they'll be mobilized and moving on that as well. Phase 1 of that environmental cleanup has been completed, which was the injection into the ground. So everything's moving fine there. And then the Able Construction project on Gilman Street has officially kicked off, and they're cut the curb and are getting the site prepped for building on that project as well. Beyond that, 2500, we talked about the bond and the financing. Everything else behind the scenes is moving forward, and we'll have some approvals before council at the next meeting as well, related to road improvements and rezoning and other aspects to that project. There's a lot of pieces moving at this time, and we're getting close, but we're trying to line everything up, so we're still hoping that we can be pushing dirt by the end of the year. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Next is Assistant Police Chief Chuck Upchurch.
Evening, Council. On July 1st, we swore in Nicholas May. He's our newest police officer. Nicholas comes to us from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. He spent 2 years there. Nicholas is a Speedway High School graduate, graduated in the class of 2009, and we look forward to a long career with Nicholas. This is where he wanted to be, and he's very excited about being back in town and working for the Speedway Police Department. I'd like to remind everybody, on August the 6th, we will have our next and last race meeting for the year, the public meeting. That will be at the Brickyard Crossing at 1:30. And also on August the 6th, we'd like to remind everyone that we will be doing our National Night Out at Leonard Park. That will run from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. So we'd like for everybody to come out and spend the evening with us.
Could you repeat the date again, please?
That will be August the 6th, Leonard Park, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Fire Chief Bob Fishburn.
I just want you to know I'm not being rebellious by wearing a T-shirt. I just wanted to show, if you could show the back patch on my shirt.
Turn left a little bit. There.
So tomorrow, we have our first firefighter for a day, which is set up through our Parks Department. I want to give kudos to Kelly Buck for designing the shirt and Tammy Smith for coordinating. We're really excited. The weather's going to be great. We're actually going to start the day welcoming them. We're going to do a little more rigorous walkthrough of our safety trailer, teaching them to exit properly, put them through that. After which, we're going to go down to Wilshaw, and we're going to do a walkthrough to let them see from the planning of a blueprint to the finished product. So we'll spend about 45 minutes down there in the inspection area. We'll come back, have lunch. We're going to do engine ops, we're going to do ladder ops, and then we're going to teach them a little bit about arson investigation. So we're really excited. Should go very well. We closed our application process on Friday. We'll still get a few that are postmarked July 5th. We have in the 70 range of applicants for the one position that we have, so we'll keep moving forward in that. And then, just to bring you up to speed, the veranda project, we have been working with them pretty rigorously on the median that they had put in without approval in the middle, which limits our access with our vehicles. We've kind of come to an agreement with them, Assistant Chief Milhorn, myself, and then Johnny Russell, our inspector. Instead of making them tear that completely out, we're going to allow them to add 2 feet of concrete on the inside edge of that middle median. That way, as our outriggers go out, or if we're closer to the curb, we have walking area and all of that. It's a lot less costly than them taking it completely out, and you know, they've improved that property a lot, so we wanted to work with them, and they're starting to get people moved in there. It'll all be according to code. And other than that, you know, just business as usual in the summer, getting ready for the final race meeting and all of those things. So if you don't have any questions, that's all I have.
I have one quick question. When is the firefighter for a day program for adults going to be? When do you schedule that?
You've already
You've already gone to that.
Well, I know, people are going to ask.
But I did fail to tell you, we do still have a few openings for that. If there's a 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grader going into 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, they can still go on the website and register even tonight if somebody just has forgotten or they thought they were going to be out of town. Tammy said they can get them registered and ready to go. So looking forward to that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next is our Public Works Director, Wendell Walters.
Good evening, Council. Some updates on your departments. We'll start off with the street department. All of our local projects are working on schedule. We're now on the lane on the south side of the street, tearing out all the concrete, and they will start putting that back this week also. All their work that they're doing out on the streets and stuff, their regular maintenance, street sweepers out, they're doing manhole repairs throughout the district. I think they have one left this month to get done, and they should be caught up there. On your water department, we are now on groundwater. The surface water plant went down for maintenance. They've been cleaning the basins, greasing all the gears and mechanicals, taking care of that. The crews have also been out hydrant painting. You'll notice in the Cunningham edition, Nelson edition, they got those all completed. Meter reading is ongoing. The residential should be completed by tomorrow afternoon, and then they'll go into the commercial in a few days after that. And then on the DPW project on Cartersville Road, talked with the superintendent today. They are milling out the inside lanes this week, continuing on the crosswalk, the AD areas at Cunningham, Winton, and Lyndhurst. So everything's coming together, so everybody just be cautious out there. We did have a traffic change this morning that caught a couple of us off guard real quick, but everybody is following through there. So just be careful. It's going to be a lengthy project, and we'll get through it, as always. On the wastewater plant, Norm's here with us. If any questions you have on this report I give you. There's some poor operating conditions at the plant, but Norm is taking care of business down there as always. Routine maintenance has been performed. He is reviewing the Rule 5 application for Allen Transmission Technical Center, so that's all in review. We had one CSO in June. That was on June 20th. With these heavy downpours and stuff, couldn't keep up with everything. So kind of real quick, catch you up, and if you got any questions, I'll try and answer.
Questions? Anything to add to that, Norm? Since you're here.
Come on, it's your chance.
What do you say?
No, ma'am, he was very thorough in his report. No, I do want to thank you for the approval of the screen, though. Long time coming. Thank you.
Thanks. Next is Parks and Rec Director Tammy Smith.
Good evening. First of all, I want to, we had a very successful summer camp season this year. It's kind of sad how quickly it goes, but I want to give a shout out to Mr. Chuck Bennett for all of his help in helping me coordinate and lining up all the coaches and the student coaches as well. He's a great asset for the Parks Department for the summer camps. And also Kelly Buck for taking pictures and getting a lot of the communication out. We had a few bugs this year. We had an incident in the pool which shut the pool down for that last 3 days. So we had to kind of move that into the next week. So that was an unexpected issue. And then we had some shirts issues. For the most part, they went well, but we had a few people on our new program had put the sizes in the wrong field, and so those didn't get ordered, and we had to do a reorder. So I'm still trying to reach out to those people to get their shirts. But other than that, the summer camps were great. I'm still working on getting all the checks written or request over to Monty for all the coaches. So. I want to also mention, back in the fall, we received a donation from the Oaks family. They wanted to donate to the parks for some kind of a project, and I had suggested a butterfly hummingbird garden, and that has gotten underway. With the help of some volunteers over the last few weeks, we have that hummingbird butterfly garden planted. We're still waiting on a bench for it, but I want to give a shout out to those volunteers, Ann Ciceri, the Miller family, Mr. and Mrs. Porton, and Jeffrey Hammer. They came out in the pouring down rain the very first day. We literally planted about 60 to 70 plants in the pouring down rain. But we got that done, and it's looking pretty nice even with the hot weather. You know, we need a little rain or a means to get that watered. We also had a donation of some plants, and we were able to, some of these same volunteers helped me, and we planted around the playground at Leonard Park as well as various areas along Main Street. So we got those done as well. So again, thank you to those volunteers. And anyone wishing to volunteer for the parks, please reach out to me because we always have things we can do. Last week, Ann and I were going to mulch the hummingbird butterfly garden. Mike had put out 25 large bags of mulch for us. He told me about it on Friday afternoon. So her and I were going to try to go out there and hand mulch Monday, Tuesday of last week. And Friday night, I get a message from a church group asking if we had any service projects for them to do on Sunday because they had another one that fell through. And I'm like, yes. So they came out Sunday and they did that mulching project for us in less than 2 hours. So that was awesome. So thanks to them for doing that. We still have 2 concerts left in the season. This Thursday, July 11th, is Barbender, and then next Thursday, the 18th, is Groove Smash. So hopefully everybody can come out for that. And then I want to announce for people to watch for more information about an upcoming art and music festival that we're going to have at Meadowood Park on August 24th with a rain date of August 25th. We already have 5 jazz or concert-style bands that are going to play on the hour starting at 4 p.m. For 45 minutes each. So, and then we want to open that up to some artisans to set up booth space for some artisans, and then hopefully get some community groups out there to be able to notify people of what they have to offer to the community. So hopefully maybe the police, the fire, the Citizens Academy, library, Lions Club, any other nonprofit local groups we want to reach out to. And Chief Fishburn already went over the firefighter for a day camp, so we're looking forward to welcoming those kids at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then last, I want to give a shout out and thank those that help us keep our parks clean, especially the parks workers Mike, Cooper, Aram, and Austin. They have a tough task ahead of them, and when I close the bathrooms after concerts, it's given me a whole new perspective of what they do. And I just ask the people that visit the park, please do whatever you can to help us keep our parks clean. If you see some trash that somebody else left, pick it up. Anything that would help us would be greatly appreciated. And as well as familiarize yourself with our park rules. We have signage, and we have signage, like 3 large signs as you're entering different areas of both parks, and it gives the park rules. We don't want to clutter up our parks with a bunch of signs, but some of it's just common sense. Don't ride your bicycle on the rubberized playground surface. And this is constant all day long, and that playground surface is already deteriorating, and we need to replace it, and it's a very expensive replacement cost. Planter areas, we just planted these plants in there, and people stand in them and ride their bikes in them, and I actually witnessed a kid pull a plant out and chase his friends with it 2 hours after we planted it. And if somebody feels unsafe when they're at the park, we have 311. The police department has a 311 number, and that's the non-emergency. Obviously, if they felt unsafe in an emergency situation, call 911. But if they just feel like something's not right, call 311 and let the police officers come out and take care of it. We don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable in the park, and we're trying to do the best we can to keep a safe and clean and inviting park. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Thanks,
Okay.
Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Next is a report from Town Manager. Jacob?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Just one item for tonight, which is a project that I know a lot of people have been following and are interested in, and has been frustrating for a lot of folks. So the dry run ditch project, we continue to work with FEMA on it. We continue to try to spur it along as much as we possibly can. There's some challenges with trying to coordinate between federal, state, and local being county, with stormwater management, all trying to coordinate. We're told it's in the late stages, and they're just trying to coordinate some administrative items, but it's frustrating nonetheless. And so just know that we continue to work on it and continue to try to push it as much as we can. And hopefully we'll be giving people good news. As I've said before, when we get formal notification, assuming we get formal notification of approval, which we do expect, we'll be having that out on social media, website. Homeowners that are impacted will eventually get a letter, but we'll be trying to get the word out as quickly as possible. So just know that we're continuing to work on it. There's some complicating factors. I understand it's a complicated model that they're using, which is added to some of the challenges. So the project itself is basically a big hole in the ground, but then the complicating part comes with trying to get the approvals and the model set up right. So like I said, we just continue to work on it. Appreciate your patience, and that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
All right, next are council reports then, so we'll start with Councilor David Lindsay.
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you, David. And Councilor Gary Rakes.
Just a couple quick things. First, I want to thank Tammy Smith. I had it in my notes to do it anyway, but the passion you have for what you do comes through in everything, every time you present here, everything you do within the community. And that leads me to my second point of thanking Jennifer White and others who helped with the Relay for Life a couple weeks back. I saw Tammy there all night long again. Just continuing, she gives so much to this community, but I wanted to specifically thank Jennifer for the work she's done with that. I don't know the amount they raised. I know they had some strong goals. Personally, I had an opportunity to get out and walk with Mr. Dick Merritt. He was a longtime teacher here in this community. He has been stricken with a cancer that is treatable but not curable, and there was an honor walk for him that dozens of people got out and literally walked with him. It was great to see him there and other teachers, coaches that he was with for many years. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys for that. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. And then last is our Vice President, Jeff Matthews, and I did not introduce him as that this evening, so I apologize.
I'm so offended. Before my report, I'd like to yield a few minutes to my good friend Monty Combs.
Oh, I just wanted to make something clear. On the fees on the credit cards and debit cards, those are not, none of that's kept by the town. It has nothing to do with the town. It's for the company that we allow us to use their credit cards and debit cards to pay, and they get the fee, not us. So I just want to make sure it's not something we're raising it for the town to keep the money, because that's not the case at all. Then they turn around and pay MasterCard and Visa and all those they pay those fees to them. And we're also going to put that notice about the ACH. It's already on, it was on this month's water bill or utility bill, and they'll be on for the next couple of months, so they can explain that a little bit for them. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Monty. On Monday, June 17th, I reached out to Brixmore Property Group, who is the management company for the Speedway Supercenter, in regards to the ongoing issues that most of us have concern for. I received a response that same day from Jim Childress, who's the senior property manager for Brixmore. He informed me that he was assigned to the Supercenter just 2 weeks prior and would welcome any input in order to get him more familiar with the property and especially with the needs and expectations of the community. At that time, I scheduled a meeting with Jim and also invited Chief Campbell, Assistant Chief Upchurch, and Town Manager Jacob Blaisdell. The meeting with Brixmore Property Manager took place on Wednesday, June 26th, and was held at the Town Annex located at the Speedway Supercenter. All of the invited attendees were present. Several topics were discussed: historical perspectives, current on-site issues, shopping center trends, and most importantly, the group discussed different measures to help get the shopping center back to a safe and pleasant shopping experience for everyone. Some of the topics that were discussed, and I have to thank Chief Campbell and Chief Upchurch for these. These were great. Cameras on property, hiring additional security personnel, meeting with store management, utilizing the trespass, which I'd like to have Assistant Chief Upchurch talk about here in just a second. Crime watch within the Speedway Supercenter itself, and scheduling regular meetings with them, and store security with cameras and placement. Can you come up just real quick and talk about the trespass, please?
Excuse me. Our trespass agreement, we developed, and it wasn't our idea. We actually, there were apartment communities on the east side of Indianapolis that developed that. Like any good police department, we stole that idea from them, and we implemented it within our town. And basically what that allows us to do, and we've used it in residential settings also, if we go to the apartment complex and we found that most of the folks causing problems in the apartment complexes weren't people that lived in the apartment complexes. And just an example, if we found someone looking in cars late at night and we didn't have anything to arrest them for, they didn't belong on the property, we'd issue them a trespass order. So just as in the shopping center, there are a lot of folks in the shopping center that aren't there to shop, and they're there to hurt the shopping experience of those people that are there. And what it does is it allows our officers, instead of having management come and issue a trespass order, we enter into an agreement with the property owner, and that allows our officers to issue a trespass order as an agent of the property. There's no monetary involvement, no money's exchanged. And if the property owner doesn't want that person to remain on the list, we'll take them right back off if they don't feel that it's necessary for them to be there. The folks normally stay on the list for 2 years. Right now, through the apartment communities, we've trespassed probably about 1,550 people. So just from residents of apartment communities. Anytime we go for like a shoplifting situation or for one of the stores anywhere in town, we'll issue a trespass order so they can't go back. So normally if it's a business, we have the property owner of the business sign the trespass order. So normally those folks don't go back. We have very few people, but we have had on occasion where we've had to actually arrest those folks, and they've gone to court and they've been prosecuted. And most generally when that happens, they're found guilty because we can prove that they've been given the trespass order and they weren't supposed to be on the property again. So we're just going to try to extend that to the shopping center, and Mr. Childers is supposed to be bringing our signed agreement back, he said this weekend. So once we get that, the town manager signs and the police chief signs, and we go from there. So, any questions?
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Childress with Brixmore was very receptive to these ideas and understands the importance of establishing these safety and security measures. Jim took that information learned from the meeting back to his management group, and I expected to hear from him later this week, but I actually got an email from him today. I'd like to read that real briefly if I could.
Sure.
Thanks. Hello, Jeff. I have looped in members of our senior management team regarding the concerns we discussed at our last meeting. The feedback I received was positive, as we are looking into possible options that may help improve the situation. We are also reaching out to the appropriate people at Kroger so that they are aware of the concerns, including scheduling an on-site meeting with representatives of Kroger, you, and the police. Once I have an exact date, I will let you know. I also mentioned to Assistant Chief Upchurch this morning that I'll be bringing by the signed trespassing agreement this week. As I receive more information in direct from our corporate team, I will be sure to pass it on to you. In the meantime, please know that we are committed to making Speedway a safe and enjoyable shopping experience for our patrons and merchants. Best regards, Jim. So, with all that being said, yeah, we're committed. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Jeff. Right. Last is my report, and just real brief, I want to, welcome Chris Wheeler and Curtis Miller and Jennifer Miller to your new commissions and boards that you'll be working for us on and helping us out. So thank you for stepping up and volunteering. And at that time, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:43.